Say it all with me. The fact is, it's the preseason. We're not going to overreact, good or bad.
Jackson Dart might be the best player in the NFL.
Future Hall of Famer.
With that being said, my biggest takeaway, Matt Milano could be all pro.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Preseason game number 1 of the summer. The Bills losing this one to the Giants 34-25, but we know the preseason, the final score doesn't matter. Really about the individual efforts. And who stood out to you today?
I'm going to...
What?
Go ahead. You're laughing.
How was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Well,
that works. For the first time, I used it correctly.
I actually don't think you did.
No.
Because you don't care about the play.
But it's inconsequence.
Yeah, but nobody died.
Obviously.
Well, I want to lead off with Dan because Dan is even being tougher here. He had to be down on the field today. It was a little steamy.
It wasn't cold.
Okay, yes.
It wasn't cold. I'm sure I will film a game. I think Jeremy White from WGR tweeted, I will probably be on the sidelines, or Jenna or I, with 100-degree difference later in this season.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was 90. There are probably going to be games that are wind chill or feel that will be in the negative.
Yeah, and you've done those games before.
And that wild.
Yeah.
All right, here's what I wanted to say is they got some starters.
August weather is different than January?
He's brilliant.
Okay.
They got some starters out there, which we wanted to see. Joey Bosa said he hadn't played in a preseason game in what? 6 years?
Yeah.
He was playing in this one.
Yeah.
He was out there. And, you know, the defense is fine. Trey made a few tackles. Like, it's about getting them a few reps. You know, a little bend but don't break when the first string was out there. And the first string of the offense, at least a percentage of it, out there with Mitch Trubisky. I know we were looking for that today. It's like, look, Mitch is going to get an opportunity, at least with a version of the ones. He was okay.
Better than I expected.
Yeah, he started out a little rough, then made a couple of nice plays. Athleticism, how about that?
I did see some athleticism.
With the spin and the turn and the throw.
I did see some of that.
Yeah, and that's encouraging. And I keep stressing this. It's the idea of needing Mitch or maybe Mike White for a quarter, for a game, 2 games. We're not talking about the long-term guy. God forbid that ends up being the case. That's not what you're talking about. Can you get us out of a game? Can you help us win one if we need it? And I thought Mitch showed a lot more of that. And Mike White, the same thing. Came in with the 2s and the 3s and did okay.
Say it all with me. The fact is, it's the preseason. We're not going to overreact, good or bad.
Jackson Dart might be the best player in the NFL.
Future Hall of Famer.
With that being said, my biggest takeaway, Matt Milano could be all pro. I'm not going to
so
overreact,
much, Dan.
but holy cow.
Well, there's one thing about overreacting to a guy who has been that before.
Yes.
And say to be it again. There's another thing about reacting
awesome.
is like, you know, this guy's going to be a
Here's a
superstar
guy.
and he's never played in a real game before. Milano has had that
He's
excitement to
He's
it.
been that guy.
Yeah.
He has been that guy, what we've seen in training camp, even going back to last year's training camp where we were like, I think he's starting to get better with the leg and he's starting to move around, and then obviously he tears the pec and the...
Yeah, no, I think we were negative. I know I was last year.
I know, but it was good to see him back out there and moving from that type of an injury.
But he is miles past that now. That's the thing.
That was Dan's point, but you interrupted him.
Yeah, but I got tired of interrupting you. I want to interrupt Dan. No,
how it
we
feels?
weren't saying he was coming along.
This is how he's been all day.
See, here's the case. You were saying it's like he's coming along. I disagreed with you at the time. I thought he looked bad last year at camp. The only plus was he was a little bit better. And I thought it took a while until he was back. He's physically back now. This is a dramatic difference from what we saw before.
Warming up on the sideline, like before the game, like him and some of the players, they run up and down the sidelines, like his cuts, the stride, all of those things. I was like, whoa, and I was like, don't overreact. And then he had like a tackle on the first play, and I was like, I'm going to overreact. I'm going to overreact.
No, he was definitely one of those guys that you saw out there, and you're like, that looks like Matt Milano. Like, that looks like
Yes.
Matt Milano of his maybe not all pro, but just
Agreed.
the ability, his, like you talked about, the quick cuts, just his agility factor. And that had been missing from his game.
His sideline to sideline speed, that was always what was always impressive. The fact that he could drop back in coverage and cover tight ends and running backs in the flat. That was what I saw today. It's what we saw in training camp a lot. It's what we saw flashes of chasing down Bo Nix in the playoffs. All of those things have progressed, which have me very excited because if him and Terrell Bernard are what we think they can be and healthy, which is the big if for those two guys, in the last 2 years, it's a massive, massive boost to this defense.
Because they are playmakers.
Yes.
And this team lacks playmakers.
Playmakers on
Or there's potential playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it on offense and on defense. You need those guys.
Yeah.
And we have seen that pair before. It was a limited amount of time, but we have seen it. And it was really, really good.
It was 4 games before the London game 2 years ago when everybody got injured in London. That was the Daquan Jones. That was Matt Milano. That was when they got decimated over there in London. So it was really kind of cool. I always think back to that Commanders game.
Yeah.
That is the game that TV-wise, if you need a defensive highlight, you just go right back to that game because there were 5 interceptions and turnovers and sacks and all of those things. So it was really exciting for me to see that, where I went in with, hey, I'm not going to overreact if Shavers doesn't catch a pass or anything like that. To see Milano look the way that he did, I really liked it.
First of all, it's just not in your nature to not.
No, because last year in the preseason, they looked so bad against Pittsburgh, and I went, guys, relax. It's the preseason. Like, Sean talked about it today, which I thought was very interesting. Great question from our good friend Matt Beauvais. Was like, how much do you game plan? 0 to 10. And he was like, it's somewhere between 0 and 1. Like, that's what I think people...
He said that for this game.
For this game. I think that's what sometimes gets lost. Like, yeah, I didn't love that Trey gave up 5 or 6 receptions. I liked the way he tackled.
Yeah.
But in the sense that, like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, they're picking on Trey. Like, it could have just been... The huddle seemed short. It'd be like base defense, break. Like, that's what it was. It wasn't this massive game plan, so take all of that with a grain of salt.
The thought behind it, Sean explained, was that we just want to see these guys play.
Yep.
Like, the installations, all that stuff will come. We just want to see what the natural kind of reaction is. What is the instinct, and what do these players look like when they're just playing free? You then, after that, kind of add on more stuff to see how much a player can handle. But this game was just about seeing what a guy was able to do, where he was at when he was just in flow state.
Yeah.
I
Good job,
want to
Mike.
pause. I want to interrupt.
Good job.
I think I have a very good line when it comes to this, and we were talking about it before the game. Regular season is about the team. Preseason is about the individual.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
want to see, just like Sean said, can this guy do it? They don't want to cloud his mind. It's going to come where he's got to be able to do that, and he's got to know everything about it, and it's part of a game plan. It's not what they want to see here. They want to see, can this guy hold up? Whether that's offensive lineman, how Ryan Vandermark was, or what they're looking at wide receiver. Can Shavers beat man-to-man coverage? Like, whatever it is. It's not as much about game planning. Game planning hides some of those things sometimes and accentuates others. I will say the Giants' game plan with their quarterbacks was quick movement, misdirection,
all the time.
everything. So that's why you didn't really see much of a pass rush. They didn't really have much time to rush the quarterback. That is set up in order to get those guys on the move because they don't have a great offensive line, and you could adjust to that in a regular game. I think that helped them get some passes to
I think
Trey
it helps
White.
that Jackson Dart is a future Hall of Famer. Like, I think
He's there.
that's-
He's that close.
Other defensive guys that stood out to you.
I will have to say, I like Hancock playing at safety.
Same.
I think the guy has ability. I know there's been questions about his overall athleticism. A couple of guys playing in the secondary for this team forever. I'm not comparing him to those guys. I don't think either one of those guys would have won an athleticism test. I think you can play that position with brains and toughness and some agility and a level of athleticism. Believe me, it's a ways off, but I think that versatility is what's going to keep him on this roster, especially when there's been injuries in the secondary.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Cam Lewis. You talk about individuals. A guy that just plays and makes plays time and time again.
That dude plays his ass off.
Unbelievable. Everywhere, like, big hits and playing in the slot and blitzing and playing safety in the second rotation. Like, I can't imagine anybody that's ever said, like, oh, Cam Lewis is on the bubble. Like, this guy has such an integral part of this defense. He's what they hope Jordan Hancock can become. That's what but like the fact that he fills in for Taryn, who luckily is okay and cleared concussion protocol.
That was scary.
That was a little scary.
Yeah.
You never like it when Sean comes all the way out there on the field and he goes in the tent.
Yeah.
But that he cleared concussion protocol. But like to see that, so going off of your Jordan Hancock, like great interception. I don't care who lined up off sides. It was the play that you made. I just think that Cam Lewis, again, can fill in and plug holes when the Bills defense needs to.
And I also want to call out Dane Jackson. Now, he gave up that touchdown. His coverage was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I give it to Dart. It was a really good throw. I didn't think Dane reacted very well to it, and the guy made the play. But he came right back after that with a really tough play.
Yeah.
Little hand fighting going on. He got himself turned around. I think Dane Jackson, I don't know what it's going to end up being. He could be one of those guys that gets cut and gets brought back. He could be just a depth guy, but it's going to be tougher for him. But he's got to be able to make those plays, especially at this moment when they need him out on the field with guys banged up.
I also thought Mike White, who started.
Wait, before you get to that, I want to talk more about the defense.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, no.
Great
You're
hosting.
fine. I just want to say I thought Deion Walker had some nice moments. I thought TJ Sanders. I wanted to see what the rookies could add. Could I notice them on the field? Unfortunately, the only time I noticed Landon Jackson was with the penalty.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that will happen, obviously. But I thought Deion Walker got in the face of Jackson Dart.
He got a block pass, did he not? Right?
Ed Oliver, too, had a tipped pass earlier on in the day. But in terms of the rookies, like what I wanted to see, I thought they had some nice moments. And it's like, how do you build off of that? But in this setting, I wanted to see that, and you were able to.
I liked the depth that they brought. Like, I know we've talked a lot about that, but they rotated Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Rousseau, Bosa, and then there was a full change, and Dwayne Carter got snaps, and some of those guys. And then it was like the third wave that came in was all the young guys. I liked seeing that. And the fact that I thought they still held their own. I thought Deion Walker just showed his size. The one play that I remember, again, watching it, I was just talking to Jenna before we started filming. It's difficult to see the whole field when you're just looking at through the lens. So
Of
when
the
people,
camera,
I personally, just in my watching of the game through the lens, didn't notice TJ Sanders that much. But I saw that people were saying had good pressure in the backfield on a couple of plays. So, but when I was ISOing Deion Walker on a play, he kind of got pushed off to the side, but finished the play and like drove the lineman on top of the pile where it was like, oh, that's a grown man move.
Yeah, that's the force that he has.
That's a young man pushing a grown man like he was pushing me.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
I saw Michael Hoyt get some pressure. I saw one time he got himself caught, didn't protect the edge on a short yardage play. They ended up getting
Rousseau
9
would have
yards.
protected that edge.
Damn right he does. Out there, starter.
That was good.
He is just waiting.
That was good.
He can just feel double-digit sacks this year. He and I talked about it before the game.
Oh, you did? You guys go way back.
Yeah, he said 12 plus. That's what
12
he's looking
plus.
at. Yeah.
We love the plus.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about Mitch. We wanted to have more, I wanted to see more Mike White, right? So I wanted to see maybe they flip-flop. Maybe Mike White gets more run with the ones, or if the ones are done. I don't know how that's going to work for the rest of the preseason. But I thought Mike White started terrible.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting there like, well, I guess this competition isn't much because Mitch had a nice ball to Tyrell Shavers. A little underthrown, but still to complete the pass, step up in the pocket. That was nice. And I thought Mike White bounced back and looked really good the last, 2 drives.
His first pass should have been a pick 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right away, he gave this.
Yeah.
So he knew he had made the mistake on the read. And then he had a couple of drops. It just one behind a player and is like, I think he was 0 for his first 4.
Yeah.
It
something
was
1
not
for
good.
5. And then he picked it up.
Yep.
But listen, you would just talk to him. There's a little bit of anxiety. He knows this is his moment. He's waiting, watching Mitch play. The roster starts changing rapidly. It's 2s and 3 pluses out there. But he did step in the game and then started to get a little rhythm, had a couple of touchdowns. I thought that was really a plus. I wonder what you two think. Do you think they really would give Mike the shot with the ones and make it more of a real competition? Because they haven't really pushed that in training camp so far.
I think what we're missing is Josh Allen's opinion, because I think that matters a lot more than we would expect. Because I think if he wants it to be Mitch as the backup, which it has been, I feel like it would be Mitch. If he wants it, he's like, you know what? Mike White is the guy. I feel like that would actually have way more say than we would imagine.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if there's a cheaper option.
Well, that's the thing. Mitch is also more expensive.
Not in the building.
No, but Mitch has more experience.
Correct.
And honestly, I think they want to have Mitch prove he can be the backup. I don't think they're as,
You want the higher floor than the higher ceiling for the two.
yeah.
That's,
I feel
and that
like
would be Mitch. That would be
it
Mitch.
is. And so, listen, if they decide to make a move, they decide to make a move. It is a bit of a money savings, but I don't know if they're going to do it there. It's the kind of thing you don't need the guy until you need him,
Yeah.
and then you really need him.
Yeah.
So that would be the case. But I don't believe they're going to say, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if Mike gets the ones. I think it stays this way, but we'll see.
I could
we'll
see
how
that
it
just
plays
because
out.
I feel like that is kind of like traditionally what they would do. But I think if it's a real competition, you will see
Yes.
Mike White rolling with the ones.
Yes.
But we'll have to see if that's actually the case. My thing is when Mitch was out on the field, I'm like, oh, Mitch, athleticism. And then we saw some of those plays where I was like, okay, that is some athleticism. And then when Mike White was out there, it was like, all right, Mike, what are you going to do? And like the first couple plays, I was like, dear sweet baby Jesus. Like, oh my goodness.
I've been sitting here. We've been talking on the podcast. I've done a couple other ones, and I'm sitting there like, I think Mike White's got a high ceiling. And I got a text from Joe Miller. He goes, I think we were wrong about Mike White. And then it was like, wait a second.
What did he say?
2 nice drives put together. I like seeing that.
It's like the kombucha girl. Like, ooh, like, yeah. That
I'm
was
going to
literally
set Dan up here. It was right here. Someone made a spectacular catch, though it did not count because the second
my
foot went out of
gosh.
bounds. Dan, who was it?
Christian Wilkerson.
Love it.
You were
Wow.
on. By the way, that was a hell of a catch.
Yeah.
He like reached around the guy and made the catch,
Yeah.
and that's what he's been doing. Second one is, you mentioned Shavers a couple times. How are you keeping this guy off the 53?
You're not going to.
Yeah.
I think today was one of those moments, not just that we talked about, Sean called him tough as nails and those kind of things, to have the deep ball, to have some impact on special teams, to see him out there on kickoff and punt return duties, that was a plus. And then to see, like, he caught a slant his first pass, and I know that, like, they're different, football players think differently, but I'm just sitting there like, you want to do a 7-yard slant over the middle, and you know you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not 100%. And to catch that ball knowing, like, I'm going to get punished is just like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, that's going to be the scariest thing ever. And him to make that play, to see the reaction on the deep ball there, I'm just sitting there going, he's this kind of guy.
And well, you look at the roster and you look at those receivers, and you got a guy like Curtis Samuel who's got a lot of money. But he's not on the field. Mm-hmm. And it was an issue last year.
Yeah.
You got Elijah Moore, a couple of moments, but we haven't really seen a lot. That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
I
is
know,
I
I
was
know
never on the
people-
Elijah Moore high.
People really have a lot of faith in him. I think people really expect him to be able to carve out a role. I guess for me, I just haven't really seen that pop that other people have talked about.
And then when we talk about this guy, Shavers, we're talking about him at basically the end of the receiver
Yes.
room on the roster, giving you some time on teams because they don't really get that. I mean, Elijah Moore's not giving him that.
Yeah.
Nope. Curtis Samuel's not giving him that.
Yeah.
Is there something different? He's got size. He can play on the outside. He runs well, and they love him. So when we're talking about this guy, I do believe you could probably cut Tyrell Shavers and probably get him back. There's a lot of receivers like that.
Yeah.
Giants roster seems like it has 100
Yeah.
receivers. They're all going to have guys they like. I think you have to be really exceptional. But on this team, I believe in that role of like that fifth guy to sixth guy and playing special teams. I think he's earned that.
Shavers was saying that he knew going into this weekend it was the biggest game of his life.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool to understand that magnitude and to watch him like warming up and stretching. Like you could see like this. It's so funny. I thought the game was kind of boring. I wonder what you guys thought. Like, comment, and subscribe. It is the first preseason game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was yawning on the sidelines.
First quarter was really boring.
The third quarter lasted an hour and a half. The last 6
Yeah.
minutes of the game lasted 2 hours.
Thank God they did that review with 30 seconds left in the game.
That was important.
Yeah.
They
But I'm
loved
sitting
that.
there. I did so to see him step up because I thought arrow down, Zach Davidson, Jackson Hawes. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's this blocking tight
I
end,
was
but
gonna say-
I'll say it again. Do you know who's better? He could be the best blocking tight end in the NFL. Do you know who's a better blocker than he is? The worst offensive lineman on the team.
You know,
And so you got to be able to do something.
what did we say after? I mean, Jackson Hawes,
Brutal
his
drop.
hands looked like a blocking tight
Yeah.
end. Like it was like, And it makes me just think like that feels like a luxury pick a little bit. And I don't know if the Bills are in the position to have luxury picks. That's just how I feel.
I'm kind of with you. Now, that doesn't mean he's going anywhere.
No.
You don't know what they actually think, but you don't have to be Travis Kelce to be a non-blocking. Like, just because you're a blocker. I mean, Lee Smith used to catch the ball when it was thrown to him. Not great, but it would hit his hands. He usually would catch
Lee Smith. When I think of blocking
and
tight
he
ends.
was a proven
Veteran,
NFL moonshine guy
definitely
too.
moonshine.
Dude made his own moonshine. It's awesome. But I'm saying is he had that opportunity. And it was a prototypical tight end pass. Turn your body looking towards the play.
Yeah.
You just catch the ball. It doesn't mean you got to go 80. Just catch the ball.
Yeah.
It wasn't great to see that.
Didn't love that. I also, honestly, going back to Shavers real quick, I love and appreciate the honesty for him.
Yeah.
Like, this is a huge game for me. Because for so many players, I understand whether they want to downplay it because of the nerves or they want to downplay it because of the attention. But, like, these games for guys that are fringe guys.
It's their Super Bowl.
It really is. And so for Shavers to show up and make the plays that he did today, you know, the stock going up for him. But I feel like I got to appreciate him being honest about, like, that's a big opportunity, and he played like it.
Two other things I think we need to mention off the field.
Yes.
Cole Bishop was in pads, went through warm-ups, did not play in the game. The starting safeties were Cam Lewis and DeMar Hamlin. Also, James Cook. I think some people are over this, and I know that the mood would change instantly
If he signed.
if there is a deal that is reached. But right now, I know people are over it, and we see it in the comments. But Sean McDermott said after the game that him and James had a good conversation yesterday. They agreed that he would participate in warm-ups, but James said he was not going to play in the game. The follow-up question was that the plan all along? And Sean, all of along, okay?
We know where you're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sean said, no, we wanted him to play. I wanted him to play. That's where we're at right now. Nothing has changed.
It is kind of fascinating. I understand James's point of view, right? He doesn't want to get hurt. He's trying to get the deal. But to go to your coach and say, I'm not going to play, is not normal in the NFL, right? Unless a guy is injured. But these circumstances are not normal. And I think Sean is navigating this pretty well. I just think it's getting to the point where it's a little... I'm glad there's communication.
Yes.
Because the other day, I don't know how much communication there were, and then it got a little confusing at practice. But right now, he's like, you're here, I want you on the field. And then he's not. I don't think that's great. It could be way worse, but it could be better, too.
I think we are teetering on distraction level. I think the holding...
I don't think we're there.
The fact that Sean, he was asked. Sean addressed it right off the bat because he knew that's what everybody wanted to talk about. Because we didn't know if we would see him here.
Yeah.
So to see him here and in pads, you're like, is he going to play?
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, is this where this is? And then the fact that he was asked by Joe Biscaglia of The Athletic, like, do you expect him to practice this week? And he's like, enough with this. I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about the players where they are. Let's talk about the players that played today. I think it's starting to get annoying. I think the constant talk about a player that is not participating because of a contract holdout is starting to wear. I think it's wearing on the fans. I think clearly, again, and by the time this comes out, there could be a deal. And you could be watching this on Sunday afternoon, and we could be saying there's a deal, and this would all be over and end it. But I just think that, where is he? Is he here? Oh, he's here. He's in pads. And then Sean to say,
That's fair.
Sean didn't have to say he said he didn't want to play. Sean chose that.
Yeah.
To share that it was a good conversation. I wanted him to play. We wanted him to play. He didn't. It's James' situation. That's where it is. That's where we're at. Nothing has changed. That, to me, again, for all of the... He didn't say today, I love Jimbo. That wasn't said.
The circumstances are a little different. I do think, again, the majority of it is a positive. It just creates an odd dynamic for a coach, especially a guy like Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
He is not a oh, wait a minute. What is that?
Authenticity? What are you
No,
going for?
a authoritarian. No, what's the word?
Authoritarian?
Authoritarian. God.
My God.
Well, I was kind of with you there.
Yeah.
Sorry, happens sometimes.
Hey.
I got it.
He is not.
I know. Been there.
He is not that kind of a coach as much as old school. He really is. But I think this is, it's tough to look at one of your guys and a guy like, I'm not going to play. That doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't fit
It is the
norm.
preseason.
I know.
It is the preseason. But you're right. I think Sean McDermott is way more of a player's coach than he gets credit for. But also, this
Yeah.
is a fine line to walk and a tough dynamic for any coach to kind of navigate, let
Yeah.
alone a situation where is there a
Resolution.
insight? Like, we don't know. Wow,
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
God, I hit one.
Wow, yeah.
Also, I go back to thinking about when Bean said, this is the first time I've had this happen in 9 years.
Yeah.
San Fran deals with this, it feels like, every single season because somebody's holding out. Like, they know how to deal with this stuff. I think the Bills are still trying to navigate this the best way they can. I feel like everything that has been said in the media has been kosher. Like, it has been by the book. This, to me, was the first time where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Sean's getting a little annoyed here.
I think it's because it's a game. I think it's because there's a plan
And it's
a
taking
game.
away attention from the guys that
Yeah.
played. We're sitting here talking about James Cook again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the guys that played. I thought all the backs looked good. I
Yeah.
thought Ray looked good.
I thought Ty Johnson looked really good.
Loved Ty running
Yeah.
the ball. I have to give Frank Gore Jr. some props.
All over the place.
He was all over. He was hitting people. He
and
was
a
making
tackle
plays.
on special teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. But Ray, with the extra point,
Oh, that was
spectacular.
cool. That was
He got
cool.
his opportunity. And what was it like for Ray? Take a listen.
Have enough time to put my shoe on in case, like, if I were to score, we would have enough time to run off, get the shoe on, get back and kick it. So once Dawson scored, we were on the sideline trying to get my shoe on. I think it was halfway on when I kicked. I didn't even fully kick the ball with my shoe fully on.
So how would you assess the full, I guess, run of it there?
You know what? I think I can go 45-yarder now. I believe now. It was cool. I mean, it was a great experience to be able to do it in a preseason game. Again, let's pray that I never have to do it again. We have a wonderful kicker within T-Bass, but if anything ever does happen, at least McDermott knows I'll be able to kick a field goal if he needs it.
Ray, can you give us your background in kicking?
Yeah, no, I played soccer when I was younger. In high school, I was our kicker, I was our punter. So I've always had that background of being able to kick the ball, and I've always been trying to, every year in college, convince somebody to let me kick the ball. And it took about 5 years of college of people saying no, 2 years in NFL finally for somebody to say yes. So that's my background right there.
It's pretty wild that it was in the NFL where it actually happened.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. All I can think about is either I'm going to have a great night tonight and have a bunch of Instagram followers, or my DMs are going to be talking about how I cannot kick a ball. That was my thought process throughout the whole time. But once I saw it going in, Brad was like, holy, it went in. And we were like, holy shit, it did go in. So that was pretty cool.
It could have ended up with a chance at a game-winning field goal. Were you ready if that was the case?
Yeah, I was ready. I don't know if the shoe would have been ready at that time, but I was ready to go. I really did want one more try at it. I was hoping we got put in a position where it was potentially longer than a 25, 30-yarder, but again, my time is my time, and I enjoyed it.
How did you earn the opportunity to win the job of emergency kicker? Were there tryouts, or how did you get the opportunity over other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I had asked during OTAs and mini camp, like, let me kick the ball. So we did. We tried out with kickoff, and I did pretty well during kickoff. And then the day of the red and blue scrimmage, we went out there, and I think I went 2 for 3, and I think that's all it was, to try to win the second job.
Who was your
What was going through your mind?
Put the shoe on. I think we had 10 seconds left on the clock. Probably expedite my steps and just take a deep breath and don't try to kick it hard, just go right down the middle.
This spring, was there competition in this room for the backup kicker? Did you think you had real competition?
I mean,
Who was out there?
I mean, when you got guys like Dawson and Dalton who say they can kick, you kind of get a little bit intimidated. And then you see them kick it with their toe, and I was like, oh, I won this job automatically. So I knew it was no real competition at that time.
What'd you make of the offensive performance in the first half?
We handled what we need to handle, right? We went out there, we played football. I think, obviously, like Coach said, we started a little bit slow, but again, we're able to ramp up, pick up some key first downs, and get the ball moving. You got to know, shout out to our quarterbacks, man. Mitch, obviously, again, Mike White and Shano stepping in today while Josh was down. And, they played a huge part in us staying in the game, right, and competing at all facets of the game in terms of trying to stay ahead of the chains and just giving us a spark when we needed it.
I love that his holder is going, oh, shit, it went through.
Amazing.
Which is hilarious. He was like, he said, I got my opportunity. They looked at it that way. I think he actually said, I wasn't sure if my shoe was on properly when I kicked it. And I said, did you have competition during like spring practice? And he said, yeah, Dawson and Dalton both said they could kick. And then I watched him kick straight away with their foot, and he's like, I have no competition. Then he went out and made that one. It would have to be, well, it could. That's the one that could happen. They actually had another kicker today.
100%.
You wouldn't have another field goal
That's
kicker.
what was so funny for me on the sidelines. Dawson Knox scores the touchdown. They celebrate right over there. Dom Trimble and I were right there in the middle of it. So we look up, and I didn't even start to film because I wasn't thinking. They signed a kicker for today, for the fact that Tyler Bass is still dealing with that nagging injury. So I was like, oh, and I'm filming it. And the ball got kicked, and I went, well, that was a shitty kick for a kicker. I'm like, that's the new guy's kick? And I look up, and they're going nuts because I'm like, oh, it was Ray that kicked it. How about that? But I go, it was low, went through. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
If it's an ugly golf shot and it still ends up, the result is good, it's a great golf shot.
In a game, they're going for 2. I mean, most of the time, right?
Probably that. But
they're going for 2.
It was a fun moment.
It was
from
great.
Preseason game
and
number
Ray
1.
he's just cool.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. So that was fun to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was cool. So you didn't get that on video?
Did not get that.
That's
I got the
okay.
celebration afterwards.
That's
That's
cool.
good.
That's honestly what we would probably use.
And it was like
anyways.
90% of the team.
Love that. Also, just something to note. I know you talked about Taron Johnson a little bit earlier. He went into the tent, cleared concussion protocol. It does seem like the Bills avoided serious injury for the most part.
Yeah.
So that,
Jenna?
knock on wood. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
And Taron, he just that's the way he plays, head down, and it kind of looked that way.
He's an honorable mention for
Crash test. Yeah. Deontay Hardy.
Shoulder.
We saw him when we were watching, and we were like, he didn't look right, and
Yeah.
then eventually he went out with the shoulder. But
So
in terms of
we'll
the starters,
monitor that. But
seemed
in
like they
terms of the
did pretty
starters.
well with the frontline players who
Yes.
played,
Yeah.
getting them in and out of the game.
Yeah. All right. Anything else of note?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Comment in your takeaways from this preseason game number 1. Who you thought stood out in a good way, maybe someone who stood out in a bad way, and your thoughts on the Ray Davis kick, because that was the extra point was pretty cool. All right. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We'll catch you next time here on Buffalo Plus, the podcast presented by Connors and Ferris.